Hey YouTube land, Tychondrus here doing another action figure review. Now this is something that's a few years old. Can't remember when they actually released this. I think it was 2018, 2017 thereabouts. This is part of the G.I. Joe exclusive, or G.I. Joe Club exclusive figures, or the FSS, the figure subscription service. And it's one of the last figures that they did. And what this is one of it's a homage to one of the UK European Action Force figures called Captain Skip. So here is the image of on the box, on the cover of the box. You can see the artwork is done. I'm not a big fan of the artwork, but it's done to look like the figure as he would have appeared. I'll show you what they kind of look like in a minute. He's just on the standard kind of G.I. Joe window box packaging, and then flipping around you have the file card and just another image of that thing. So going quickly through the file card, says Special Action Force Officer, codename Captain Skip, file name Campbell J. Grant, or Campbell Grant J. Primary military specialty is military strategy. Secondary military specialty is artillery trooper. He's grade OF2, birthplace Edinburgh, Scotland. Captain Skip is the former head of a worldwide corporation and an international playboy. Coming from a family long successful in business and government, he wanted to prove his worth beyond his ancestral ties. He graduated first at Officers Training College, transitioning to the 2nd Battalion Parachute Regiment, 2nd Para. Was chosen to join the SAF, Special Action Force, and eventually became a division head of Z Force, overseeing their infantry, armor, and artillery operations. Sorry, just hold it with two hands, just I'm shaking it around the place. Captain Skip knows the best way to get the optimum out of his units is to inspire each individual to progress to the absolute peak of their abilities. This is why he never misses a chance to directly lead missions in the field against the Black Major and his Red Shadow Army, right alongside his troops. And then there's a small quote from Captain Eagle, Buckingham Files. As a fellow commanding officer, I know that Captain Skip gets results by not accepting second best from any of his soldiers. So that is the file card for Captain Skip. So on to the figure itself. So the figure is pretty much a bunch of reused parts. So as far as I know, his body is a reuse of Sergeant Stone as well as his head. And then the arms are from, I think it was Beachhead, the Shock Trooper had these arms, the Cobra Shock Trooper. And then his legs, I think, are from the standard 25th anniversary legs. But articulation, he has all the standard articulation of the kind of modern era G.I. Joes. So he has a swivel up at the top of the chest. He doesn't have anything in the lower waist. He has arms on hinges and go out that much, go 360. He can bend at the elbow, has a swivel in the elbow. He has swivel in the wrist, but he also has a hinge on the wrist, so he has in and out on the left hand, and he has up and down on the right. Head is on a ball joint. Legs can kick forward that much, can go back that much. Has a double jointed knee and get over 90-degree bend, and then he has a swivel and a hinge on the ankle. He doesn't have the rocker ankles that some of them kind of newer figures started getting, and his web gear, I'm not too sure where that was reused. I don't think it's a new part, as most of these subscription service figures were reused parts, but with maybe new head sculpts. But for Skip here, he doesn't actually have a new head sculpt. And then he comes with a couple of accessories. So he comes with this rifle, which is done all in black. As far as I know, it's the same rifle that came with Beachhead. I'm not sure which version was the first version to get it, but it's done as a similar rifle to the one Beachhead. I think the 25th anniversary version of Beachhead came out. Oh, he also has 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. And then he also comes with this grappling hook thing that you don't get a line with, but if you have the kind of, the wire stuff, you can actually grapple down and stuff like that. And then he comes with a 3-piece, is it 4-piece, flag, the Union Jack, the British flag. So it comes apart here, and then it comes apart at the back here, and this is one piece as well, the cardboard for the flag itself. This, as far as I know, this is a reuse of the one that came with, I think it's the Destro had it first. One of the Destros had something like this, and there was also one that came with a Cobra Commander, I believe. But it has been used a few times. So, and it just pegs into his base, which is actually interesting. It's the only time I've actually ever seen this on the bases, where they've actually given him a piece for the base for the flagpole, which is quite nice. So, for comparisons, now, unfortunately, I don't have the original Skip. I thought I had him somewhere, but I don't know where he is. But this is what the original figure would have looked like, except in green with a beret instead of the beanie hat. But it would have been something similar to this, because this is one of the SAS Force figures. If you see the side of the hand, or side of the shoulder, and then this is the actual Z-Force captain, if I recall. I'm not sure if this is the actual one, because they reused this a few times, but this is the Z-Force commander, sorry, not captain. And this is the guy that would eventually become Black Major. So you can see they just reused the same kind of heads on these figures, gave slightly different sculpting. There's ones without the hair, the hats. Then there's ones with different style of hats, but they always seem to have the same kind of face sculpt, which is why the image on the cover of the box has this kind of doll-like look to the face, because essentially what they were was scaled down versions of the Action Man, the Palitoy Action Man head. So they didn't have much in the way of like details. The only figures that were really different were the introduction of the O-ring figures. They introduced some of the American O-ring figures, repainted them and repurposed them into figures like Quarrel, which was a repaint of Scarlet. This isn't the actual the figure subscription version of her. This is actually the prototype one that was released. Well, it was cancelled before it was released. And in over here, she came originally. Quarrel would have been packaged with the Ram repaint. Just move guys back out of the way. Get him to stand. He doesn't want to stand. Let's see if we get him to stand. Yeah, there we go. He'll probably fall over in a second. We'll just bring the Ram. This was the Action Force version of the Ram, which was a repaint, or is the can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was the repaint of the Ram. And then the other thing that they had, which was unique to here, was this. Now this isn't in the best of conditions, it's missing a good few bits, but this is the Action Force Jeep, which was a reuse of one of the previous Action Force vehicles called the AF3, I think it was. I think it could be the AF3, it could have been the AF2. There was the reuse of Jeep, of that original Action Force Jeep, and it's missing a good lot of bits. It has a steering wheel, which is quite rare, but it should have a window thing here, it should have a back piece here, and it's missing 2 spotlights that should be on the front there. But sitting inside this are the other 2 subscription figures that the Collector Club did release, which is Jammer, who was a repaint of Stalker, just with a red beret, the Z-Force logos. He still kind of had the similar kind of green camo, but it was actually done the Z-Force style, so it was the lightly brighter green with black instead of the green with the dark green. And Gaucho, who I think I did a review of both of these. So Gaucho was a repaint of Gung Ho. He was actually supposed to be Mexican, and he was the Z-Force mechanic, whereas Jammer was the Z-Force communications officer. So I have there bits and bobs sitting in the vehicle, but they have all modern articulation as the modern G.I. Joes do, which is a far cry from what their original figures. Well, the original figures for these were far more articulated, but the original figure for Skip was quite limited. He was only a 5-point of articulation figure. I was really hoping that had the Collectors Club kept going, they would have, done more Action Force based characters. They did do one other Action Force character, which was Blades, who came with a helicopter, and he was a repaint of Tripwire in all black. He was part of the SAS force, and he came with a repainted version of the Fang, which had yellow on it instead of red. So instead of the red for Cobra, it had the yellow as the SAS kind of colorings. So the SAS was generally green, not green, generally greys, blacks with yellow highlights or yellow, markings. Just for a scale comparison, or a scale, you can see he stands around 4 inches. And just to bring in a kind of standard G.I. Joe, or a standard kind of more mass release G.I. Joe, this is Thunder from the Rise of Cobra line. So you can see he does stand the same height. And then just for another comparison, because I have one handy, here is one of my many customs for the Z-Force line. So I did do a bunch of customs as well, using other figures. If I remember correctly, this one was a reuse of Hit and Run with a few other parts, and because the green was already green, it made it easier for repainting them. But this is the cap that's on him is actually an Action Force accessory. Came with one of the figures, I can't remember which one, but it looked so good on this guy, I just rolled with it. So overall, he's a really good figure. Unfortunately, he's a little bit hard to find. I managed to pick this guy up from Big Bad Toy Store. I think he might be still available there at the moment. They had a few of the Collectors Club stuff on sale. There was a few that I think they had like the whole wave that you could get of the last 12 figures, and then they had a couple of the individual figures from that wave. Skip being one of them, Lieutenant Claymore being another, which is another one I picked up. And I just picked these up because, well, I'm a huge fan of Action Force. I grew up with Action Force over here in Ireland. Before I knew G.I. Joe, I knew Action Force, basically. So all the, figures I would have been familiar with would have been Action Force variations of the G.I. Joe figures. So there you go, guys. A quick video of the Captain Skip figure from the Collectors Club. I do hope you enjoyed this hopefully it was a quick video. I do hope you enjoy it, and as I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Cheers, guys.